First of all, you need to know that I'm a huge fan of the manga this anime is based on. So, trust me when I say the quality here is undeniable, and you're going to love it. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you want a part 2, and I'm sure you will. Comment below, and don't forget to give that thumbs up. Without further ado, let's dive into the content. Momo's first boyfriend approaches, stopping in the middle of the street with an arrogant air, declaring that today's date is cancelled unless she lends him some money. With a cynical smile, he adds that if she allows a kiss, they could still go out. Momo is stunned. But the worst was yet to come. He then states that, on top of everything, she would have to pay for everything. Anger begins to boil inside her. She reacts quickly, attempting to kick him in the face, but he swiftly blocks her and, without hesitation, lands a violent kick to her stomach, making her double over in pain. With contempt in his voice, he mocks her, saying he would never be interested in a girl who doesn't give him money or favors. Momo, now hurt and humiliated, fills with rage. She screams, cursing him with every name she can think of. Her friends, hearing the insults, exchange worried looks and awkwardly approach, trying to console her. They begin criticizing her, reminding Momo that she always chooses the wrong guy. They had told her to stay away from someone like him. One of her friends asks, with a hint of disapproval, what she even saw in that guy. Momo, slightly embarrassed, admits he reminded her of Katakura-ken, a man she deeply admires. Her friends burst into laughter, mocking her mercilessly. Momo tries to explain that she's drawn to strong men, like Katakura-ken, but they only point out that men like that no longer exist. Those words hit Momo like a harsh reality. With a tired sigh, she sits down, defeated, and admits that she may never find the man of her dreams. Feeling frustrated, she starts wandering through the school halls, looking for a way to relieve the weight of her disappointment. As she roams, Momo stumbles upon a scene that grabs her attention, a group of bullies throwing paper balls at a nerd. They surround him, mocking him without mercy. Still seething with anger, Momo approaches slowly. As the bullies prepare to throw something heavier at the boy, she intervenes, snatching the magazine he was reading and flipping through it without even glancing at him. Pathetic, she mutters with disdain, noticing that the magazine was filled with theories about extraterrestrials. As she walks out of the room, her irritation intensifies. She wonders what else she can do to vent her frustration. The nerd, trying to make sense of what just happened, follows her. When he catches up, in a hesitant voice, he comments that she was probably curious about what he was reading. "It's the only explanation for you talking to me," he says, trying to sound logical. Momo cuts him off firmly, stating that she wasn't interested in making friends, she only skimmed the magazine on impulse. Nevertheless, the nerd, undeterred, begins eagerly explaining the magazine's contents. He mentions that, according to conspiracy theories, U.S. presidents have traveled to Mars to establish diplomatic relations with reptilians in a secret mission called Pegasus. Momo, incredulous, rolls her eyes and says she doesn't believe in any of that, neither in UFOs nor aliens. Still, the nerd continues, detailing his theories with an odd passion, which only irritates her more. He goes even further, claiming that the U.S. government has admitted the existence of UFOs and even created a space force to combat them. Momo, growing impatient, explodes, saying she has no tolerance left for these absurd theories, especially after being humiliated by her first boyfriend. She stares at him coldly and, with a tone of disdain, says this is why he has no friends. The comment hits hard. The nerd, visibly shaken, stays silent for a moment. Realizing she went too far, Momo apologizes, admitting that while she doesn't believe in aliens, she does believe in ghosts. The nerd, seizing the opportunity, teases her, "Ghosts? And you really believe in that?" Momo, with all seriousness, tells him that her grandmother is a powerful medium and that she has witnessed exorcisms firsthand. She describes the scenes as deeply disturbing, with people convulsing violently during the rituals. The nerd, skeptical, counters that such events could be explained by medical conditions, which, to him, proves nothing supernatural. The two continue debating, with increasing intensity, until Momo's friends walk by in the hallway, laughing as they assume Momo is now making a move on the nerds. Irritated, she barely responds, focused on the challenge ahead. Momo then proposes a deal to the nerd. If she can prove the existence of ghosts, he will become her servant. Confident, the nerd accepts the challenge, but with one condition: if he proves the existence of UFOs, Momo will have to serve him. With the pact sealed, each sets off on their own mission. Momo heads to a hospital famous for UFO sightings, while the nerd, despite his fear, decides to explore the haunted location Momo suggested. During this journey, the two begin to learn more about each other. Momo shares stories of her childhood, revealing how she was bullied because of her grandmother's spiritual practices, which forced her to follow strange rituals. She admits that, over time, she realized her anger wasn't because of the bullying itself, but because they mocked her grandmother. Curious, she asks the nerd why he believes so strongly in aliens. However, he dodges the question, avoiding revealing the true reason for his beliefs. And so, they continue, each seeking their own truths, immersed in a mystical and curious quest for answers that draw them closer together. Suddenly, he begins to notice small puddles of blood on the floor. Eerie footprints form from them, heading straight toward him. Panicking, he shines his flashlight down the path, but sees nothing. As he turns around, a grotesque old woman appears out of nowhere, with a sinister smile on her lips. In a raspy voice, she whispers something absurd: "I'll let you indulge in my sweet pleasures if you let me lick the lollipop of your Chavez." The horror and absurdity of the proposal are too much for the boy, who, in sheer desperation, sprints away in a frantic run. As he runs, he tries to convince himself that it was just a crazy old woman. But Momo, observing the scene, intervenes. "On the internet, they say you can't outrun Grandma Turbo. If she catches you, you'll be cursed." The words had barely left her mouth when the old woman starts sprinting toward him. His fate was sealed. The boy is captured, with no chance of escape. Momo, realizing she's lost contact with the nerd, decides to go after him. As she moves deeper into the hospital, the lights begin to shut off one by one, plunging the place into oppressive darkness. Suddenly, three mysterious figures emerge from the shadows and capture her. They introduce themselves as Serpians, aliens from a distant planet called Serpo. They try to reassure her, claiming they are peaceful, but their actions contradict their words as they begin removing her clothes without hesitation. She pleads to go home, but they ignore her. They explain that their species consists entirely of males and that for centuries they've relied on cloning to survive. Now, however, they've decided to find a new solution for the continuation of their race, using Momo as a breeding tool. They speak of extracting her uterus as if it were a simple scientific experiment. Outraged, Momo vehemently refuses, but the aliens pay no heed. They use a technique called psychokinesis to alter her mental state, trying to make her more receptive to their plans. However, in the middle of this process, Momo's phone rings. One of the Serpians answers, and something unexpected happens. Grandma Turbo emerges from the device, attacking the aliens with supernatural strength. Amid the chaos, the figure reveals itself to be the nerd, now cursed by the old woman and trying to save Momo. She screams for him to hurry and free her from the chair she's tied to. One of the Serpians, stunned by the cell phone's technology, stands in awe, having never seen anything like it, especially an invocation through a simple screen. As the nerd tries to help, he's brutally thrown against the wall by one of the aliens. At that moment, one of the Serpians, in an almost cynical tone, suggests that if the nerd hands over his banana, they could form a peaceful alliance. The nerd, desperate to make contact with beings from another world, offers to do anything. He's always felt out of place among humans, and this seemed like his chance to finally find a connection. He spent years gazing at the sky, hoping for a UFO that never appeared. The isolation ate away at him, and the frustration of being ignored by everyone, both humans and aliens, made him feel invisible. But that changed when Momo defended him, stopping the constant bullying from his peers. With this sense of gratitude and duty, the nerd was willing to do anything for Momo, but the Serpians silence him. "We can't be friends with someone so violent," they say. Besides, they prefer women for their experiments and resume their psychic control over Momo, attempting to subdue her again. At that moment, Momo has a flashback to a conversation with her grandmother, who taught her the power of certain spiritual rituals. These gestures, according to her grandmother, protected against misfortune and disease. Momo, however, always felt ridiculed for this and swore never to follow such traditions again. In the midst of the mental conflict, Momo decides she won't deny her origins. With renewed determination, She summons the strength of her mind, breaking free from the chair's restraints and diminishing the serpent's psychokinetic control. As she regains control of herself, Momo recalls her grandmother's words and realizes that she has always been a true spiritualist. With this conviction, she kicks the serpents away, while the still-dazed nerd tries to tackle her. Exasperated, Momo orders him to snap back to reality. She then purifies him, breaking him free from Grandma Turbo's influence, though he remains under the curse. The old woman reappears, laughing sinisterly, and explains, "I still have his little friend. As long as I hold his nuts, he'll remain cursed." Furious, Momo demands that the old woman return what belongs to the nerd, but the entity merely continues on her way, leaving a trail of unease behind. The ship they were in crashes with a loud bang, and Momo finally admits, "Now I believe in aliens." The nerd, in turn, sighs and responds, "And I believe in ghosts. I've been cursed by one, after all." Determined to retrieve what's his, he decides to head to the tunnel mentioned by Grandma Turbo, even if it means facing new dangers. Momo insists on accompanying him, explaining that he might lose control without her psychic presence to keep him stable. As they prepare to leave, the nerd tries to cover Momo with his clothes, but she ends up dressing him instead. He averts his gaze, saying shyly, "I'm kind of a weird guy." The words make Momo's heart race. The phrase reminds her of Takakura Ken, and she realizes she's feeling a strange excitement. Still trying to hide her surprise, she asks the boy his name.
高倉健です。
And thus, this epic of action and mystery unfolds. Honestly, I'm so thrilled that this manga was adapted into an anime. I'll definitely bring you all the episodes. See you in the next one.